the conversation of your life. Local, relevant, digital, and always on.
America will hear my 2 cents.
Elected to serve iHub radio listeners across the desert cities. He calls it as he sees it.
Quick question.
Now, here's Russ Betts.
Someone answer him now!
Well, happy Sunday to you. It's good to have you with us. This is Russ Betts on iHub Radio, ready for another broadcast hour on, well, anything that interests me. Today we're going to be talking about, we'll touch on Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's murder, or was that suicide? They're still trying to figure that one out. Also going to have some insights into what's going on in Hong Kong. But right now, we've got a special guest here in the studio. He wrote a book, a not-so-flattering book, on desert hot springs called The Vortex Made Me Do It. But this is a true story of a city and its people seemingly making a wrong turn on the road to a better life. That's basically how the book starts out, but, I consider him a real good friend. Happy to have him here. He's published many, many other books. Here in our studio is Bill Effinger. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Russ. Glad to be here.
Did I botch that intro?
No, sounds good to me.
You want to be known for bashing Desert Hot Springs? Why not? Everybody else does, right? Bill, you've got a wildly successful career. I've got your bio here. I don't think I could take forever to read this, but you were the youngest mayor of Buena Park?
Buena Park.
Was that the youngest mayor of Buena Park or the youngest mayor ever?
No, it was at the time, I was the youngest mayor in the United States.
Had a long career in building development, real estate development, commercial development. You've been a great friend and mentor to me as I've gone about trying to understand government on city council, so I sure appreciate that. That's where the great friend comes in. Everybody needs a mentor in life, somebody to help them through, so Bill's been that for me. You didn't just write this book on desert hot springs, and we could just touch on that quickly here. Okay, so give us a little rundown of what that book was about. What caused you to write that?
Well, the fact that people lean on something, and I kept running into various people that were telling me about the vortex and the vortex this and the vortex that, and when something went wrong, oh, it's the vortex. If something went right, it's the vortex. So I just thought, well, why not peg that as the title of the book and start interviewing people and put things in there tongue-in-cheek. And a good portion of that book is tongue-in-cheek, but a lot of it is very down-to-earth history on the city, where it started, when it started, and its life and death a half dozen times all the way through its period. And it was fun writing, and anytime somebody wants to read both sides of the story, that's a book to get.
Yeah, well, you were a resident of the city. And you were very active in the city politics and the management of the city. And I'd always said if there was, at the time you were living there, if there was a King Bill, things would have gone a whole lot better. They wouldn't have gone 100%. Nobody's 100%. But if there had been a King Bill, the city might have been doing better during those years.
Yeah, well, every once in a while I would get the bug to get involved, but my wife would say absolutely no. So I just do it from the sidelines.
Yeah, now you know that everything you were writing about back then almost came to pass. The city went nearly bust, had just $400 left in its bank account, and the chapter you don't have written in here is that it's turned around now. It's in a very healthy position financially, and we're going to go take a drive out there after the show, I think. I got to show you all these factories that have gone in the industrial area. It's just fantastic, the jobs. Where in California do you see people setting up new factories?
Yeah, that's exciting, and every time we're out here, we always go up and take a tour and visit the house we used to live in up on the top of the hill. We had a beautiful home there, and we really enjoyed it while we lived here, and it was a great community, and we're happy to see it growing. And you, Russ, have been a very integral part in helping that city grow, and I'm really proud to have you as my friend.
Well, good. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a lot of work, and it's very frustrating, as you know, to be on a city council because you got to get 2 other people to agree with you and then get the city staff to go along with it. And you could have a council unanimous telling city staff what to do, and if they don't want to do it, you're really going to have to push hard. So
that's a fact.
Yeah. So, well, anyhow, we're getting there. We're not there yet, but so there we go. Hey, now you've got another book out. and it's called The Great American Brain Robbery, and this is just out. Tell us about this one. You're actually quite a published author. I go onto Amazon, I see you. How many books do you have now?
28.
28 books. So you're busy writing. I'm still working on. I wrote one. I wrote a process manual for setting up this factory that I was on. That was the only book I've written. I'm gonna have to get and do something more challenging like you've done. But tell us about this latest one, The Great American Brain Robbery. How Trump stole the minds of the American people.
Well, yeah, it's my take on what happened, and coincidentally, I began writing that book the day he rode the escalator to the bottom, and saying he was going to run for the president, and I immediately called my friends and emailed my friends and said he's going to win. And that was June the 15th in 2015, I believe. That's when I began writing this book and followed his career all the way up until the time that he got elected. The interesting thing, along with everything else that I've put together in the book, there's a picture of Donald Trump signing my autograph, his autograph, on a book that I purchased in the Trump Tower. He's standing there signing autographs, and so I've got a picture of him. My daughter took it, signing my book, and I put that in the book. So there's a picture of Donald Trump and his autograph on my book, which I have prominently displayed in my home library. And I'm proud to say that I checked, and the value of that book right now, because it was a first edition, is pretty substantial. So anyway, that was a good move on my part. Little did I know that many years later, because that was in 1984, many years later, he'd be our president.
Well, now, so that our listeners aren't confused, you're not Trump's #1 fan, at least not from what I see on your social media postings.
No, I am not.
And we're not going to get into all that because there's lots of places to talk about Trump and get into that back and forth, and we kind of avoid Trump like the plague around here. We'll talk to him, we'll mention his name, but man, you want to see these email light up with these nasty messages, and all these people are so triggered right or left, whichever way they're going. I've never seen such. It's scary. It's scary out there. But so tell us what's in the Great Brain Robbery. What's your finding on this one?
Well, the bottom line, right from the get-go, and my opinion has been that while media bashing seems to be the big thing in Mr. Trump's formula, and certainly in his campaign, I felt and show all the way through the book that the media just didn't get it. They just didn't get it. The pollsters, everybody else, I'm telling everybody he's going to win. Meanwhile, the media is focusing on he's going to lose. And guess what? They just didn't play their cards right, and they helped him get elected. And that's basically, as you read this book, there's page after page after page, paragraph after paragraph, quotations. They just helped him win the presidency.
Well, that's what I'm looking at here in the write-up of the book. It says the constant drumbeat of Hillary Clinton's winning campaign on stations like CNN and the almost daily polls showing her leading by large percentages caused people just to not turn out to vote.
Exactly. She thought she was going to be coronated, and so did a lot of other people, and it just didn't work that way.
So there's some complacency out there or a misread of the American public.
Absolutely.
So you had another book out. It's called Revolution 2016, The Sanders-Trump Earthquake, and that's where you're actually predicting that it was going to be Sanders and Trump in the final run for the presidency and not Hillary Clinton.
That's correct.
Now, something went awry there. Sanders didn't make it. I don't think he knew that the DNC was working against him. Is that your take?
Well, that's one of them, that's for sure, yes.
Because he was going to go into the Rust Belt states with about the same message that Trump did. You know, we're going to bring back jobs, we're going to bring back manufacturing. And he might have been viewed as a little bit out there on the left, but I think the people up there in the Rust Belt states, I'm going to call them conservative Democrats, strong union Democrats, willing to overlook some of that zaniness that you get in the Democrat Party if somebody's there with a message that says, hey, you're going to look out after me and my jobs. And I think Sanders would have gone in there doing that. Hillary certainly didn't.
I think his most brilliant move was capturing and captivating the young people. That's what built his campaign, and he's still building it today. He's got a plethora of very young people who are sold on his message.
You're talking about Sanders.
Sanders, yes, and unfortunately it's a socialistic message, but they've bought it hook, line, and sinker, and that's what his support base is, right?
Yeah, well, my wife will tell him to avoid the socialist route like the plague. She lived it. She's from China, grew up in China during the Cultural Revolution. I've covered that here on the show, and I'm actually going to get into it a little bit later in the broadcast. So anyhow, I have a friend who lives in Pennsylvania, and she's predicted every election since. And I called her and I said, Danielle, who's going to win this race? And she said, Trump's, hands down. And I said, how do you know? She says, because everywhere out here in western Pennsylvania and Union Country has got Trump signs. There's very, very few Hillary signs. She's just people just don't trust her, don't want her. And how the DNC pushed that through, I'll never understand it. It's just, well, they're still doing it today. You ever hear everybody talking about how bad the Electoral College is?
Yeah, well, they believe their own BS. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, now they've got a situation going on where you had those super delegates, is what handed her the delegate count. You're probably going to get the boards are going to get light up. I don't get into this much politics on this show, but I got you here, so I'm going to take advantage of it. We're here with Bill Effinger on the iHub Radio and the Russ Betts Show, and we're back with more in just a bit.
Read about it tomorrow. See it tonight. Hear it all day today. If it's happening in the Coachella Valley, it's front and center now on iHub Radio.
And there it is.
Now, here's Russ Betts.
All right, we're back. And for those of you who don't know and haven't quite followed exactly along in this first segment, in addition to my job here as a radio host on the Russ Betts Show, my day job and job during the week is as a city council member in the city of Desert Hot Springs. And here in the studio is a good friend from days back, Bill Effinger, who, I'm going to call him a mentor of mine because when I had questions on the very complicated business of city development, how government works, Bill helped me out a lot. In fact, got to the point where I'd call Bill and I'd say, hey, Bill, and I'd say, what about this? And he said, Russ, I told you about that enough times. If you haven't got it figured out by now, then you're not ever going to be, so don't call me on this one again. Okay, I got it. It's registered. I got it. And, then after that, I got afraid to call him. But I'd go look at my notes. Did he tell me about this before? But I like to be sure when I'm going out there. And, you get some situations going on in city government where people are just coming at you. And you're trying to do the right thing, and you learn the development code, and then all of a sudden you're educating people who should have been way more educated in that than you are. So anyhow, but Bill, thanks for that. And Bill had been an active resident in Desert Hot Springs. Since now you've moved out of California. You lived in California all your life.
Yep, not all my life.
But a big part of it.
Yeah, I came to California when I was 13 years old after my dad was killed in a hunting accident. And I originally from the little town of Duluth, Minnesota. And we moved out here, my mother and my brother and I, and lived in California ever since.
But you've put a nice place together up in Washington now.
Oh, yes, we love it up there. We're living in a little town called Pollsbo, which is just across from Seattle. And we're about 3 miles, actually, from the birthplace of Chief Seattle. And actually, he's buried there, is what I meant to say. And a lot of Indian reservations all around there, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous country. Trees everywhere, green, and we just love it.
And I noticed they have a city government up there, and I've noticed that you haven't been altogether quiet on letting them know what you think about things up there.
Yeah, I've done a lot of letters to the editor, and for a while, before management changed with the local newspaper, I had a weekly column, and always getting in the face of the city council, Got to keep them on their toes.
Well, you know what bothers them is when you end up being right. You know, you send the play into the huddle and you end up being right, you know? Look at this Monday morning quarterback. No, he sent the play into the huddle. You didn't go with it. So, all right. Well, you got this book out, The Great Brain Robbery. You working on any other books?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm just starting an outline for a new book. And you know, for a small-town guy growing up a blue-collar family, and I have been blessed to be traveling, a world traveler. I've been to so many places, both on business and pleasure, that I decided, and some great experiences, meeting a lot of wonderful people. So I'm putting together a book that's going to be a combination travel log of all the various places in the world that I've had the good fortune of being able to visit, and some of the experiences I've had and the great people that I've met along the way. And I haven't picked a title yet, but that's my next endeavor for the next several months.
So that'll be book number 29.
Yep.
All right. Now, this one here, you haven't shied away from the national politics. You got at least 2 books I know on the national politics, the Revolution 2016 and the Great Brain Robbery. And I'm hesitating to go there, but we're going to do it. What do you see on the political landscape coming ahead in this presidential election coming up? Is Trump going to win?
It looks to me, I think, again, media is misreading everything, and certainly the DNC has so far. I think this 25-candidate dog and pony show is absolutely ridiculous, sucking up all the time and money when they should be focusing on who they think is going to be a challenge. And so far, I don't see a real strong challenge for Trump.
You know, for the moderate Democrats, there are moderate Democrats out there, the ones that, you know, they want to go to a Democrat rally and salute the flag, not walk on it as a doormat when they go in the door. And that might be a bit of a overstatement on the way the Democrat Party has gone. But there's a lot of conservative Democrats out there that don't go with some of the far left. And those candidates are being exited quickly. Hickenlooper and anybody that's not a full-on socialist is being moved out. Every moderate on that stage is gone, and all you're left with is some, you know, the wild liberal wing of the party.
That's a serious mistake.
And I'm wondering how you're going to win the Rust Belt this time with that message.
Exactly. And when they throw the thing out, Medicare for everybody, including immigrants and so on, it's just they're shoveling against the tide.
Well, my statement on that, the phrase I coined on that one was not Medicare for all, Medicare for those that need it. I want it. There's millions of people in this country that have insurance, that like it. You know, everybody's going to complain about insurance. You're never going to be 100% satisfied. As long as I can remember, people have complained about their insurance coverage taking too long, not giving me what I need, whatever else it is. But basically, people, if they have their choice between government-run Medicare or their own private insurance, they want to keep their private insurance. But the mantra out there from some of the candidates is Medicare for all. You're all going to have it.
Big mistake.
Nobody wants it.
No.
I don't want that. So anyhow, I've gotten way more political than I normally do, but that's how you do here. So, all right. Any of the candidates you think have a chance that are out there? Who do we got? We're basically coming down to Beto O'Rourke. Does he have a chance?
No.
And Kamala Harris?
She has a chance, but I don't think most pundits are saying that the voting public isn't ready yet for a woman in the White House.
Yeah, I don't know about the part of. I think a lot of people are ready for a woman in the White House, but I'm just wondering about a liberal from California. How that, you know, people the rest of the country think California is pretty wacky. I mean, politically. So I'm wondering how that one. What about Bernie Sanders?
Scares me.
You don't like Bernie Sanders?
I like Bernie Sanders, but I don't like him as president.
Oh, okay. And then, well, who else is there? we're running out of choices. There's still 25 of them in there, 22, 20 of them in the race.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. It's a great soap opera, the Great American Soap Opera. So, all right. Well, Bill, I really appreciate you coming in here today and being with us here on the Russ Betts Show. And so can I get you to come back another time?
Anytime, Russ. Just let me know.
Okay, we just finished up with Bill Effinger. This is Russ Betts on iHub Radio, and we're back with the other half of the show in just a bit.
That was fun.
The conversation of your life. Local, relevant, digital, and always on.
America will hear my 2 cents.
Elected to serve iHub radio listeners across the desert cities. He calls it as he sees it.
Quick question.
Now, here's Russ Betts.
Someone answer him now!
All right, well, we just finished up a good segment with a good friend, Bill Effinger. Spent a lot of time in Desert Hot Springs, involved in the city government out there. He left on a parting note with The Vortex Made Me Do It, which is actually a really good book. Get it? It's poking a little bit of fun at Desert Hot Springs, but that's okay. Our friends can do that. And he's got another book out called The Great American Brain Robbery, which you can get on Amazon. You get everything booked on Amazon. He gets everything on Amazon. Does anybody shop anywhere else? All right, so really appreciate Bill coming down here. He's joining us in the studio, and we're going to move on to some other subjects. Does anybody remember how bad that recession was and what families went through? It was tough times. I remember families calling me up saying, hey, the sheriff's coming here to move me out, and we don't know what to do. And you call the sheriff, and they say, hi, sorry, there's nothing you can do. These people are being foreclosed on, and they got to go. And you do what you could to help, but then you go afterwards and you look and you peer in the window and you see valuable stuff had been left behind. And, families, they just didn't have enough to put in the U-Haul, and the sad tragedy of people losing their homes. Now, the rich people, they didn't go through all that. They kind of skated through. Rich people usually do that when they're in the, when they're going through tough times. They got enough money to keep going, but Bill Maher now has come out and, he's got a wish. He's wishing that we all go through those bad times again. Well, he doesn't like Trump is the reason why. And he thinks that if the country goes into a recession, that, hey, that's good for everybody. And, hey, what's a little bit of hardship and misery for the rest of us, just so that, we can get what we want. Now, you can think what you want about Trump, but for a guy like this, Bill Maher, a millionaire, worth $100 million, this guy is, with an annual salary of $10 million and an $80 million stake in the New York Mets, to sit there and say, hi, well, all of you go through tough times because I want my political view to get through, then, that's not the way things should be working here. But I got a suggestion for Mr. Bill Maher. If he wants to donate all of his money to a fund that's going to help everybody that's going to go through hardship, he give up all of his $100 million, become a regular Joe like the rest of us, and try and scrap it out, trying to find jobs during unemployment rates at 10, 14, 18%. If he wants to put his money where his mouth is, that's great. Otherwise, he needs to shut up because he's just another rich jerk. The rich elite people in this country, they don't know what they're talking about. They sit in their insulated world, and the French Revolution comes to mind when I think of guys like this, and maybe if he had lived during that time, he would have been facing a guillotine. Now, I'm not advocating anybody cutting off his head, but when he says stupid stuff like that, they ought to cut off his microphone. It just irritates the heck out of me. Did I sound upset? All right, we're out of time. This is Russ Betts here. We're with you every Sunday. There's a rebroadcast of the show in case you missed part of it, at 6 p.m. tonight. That's Sunday. And we've got the lovable liberal Anita Rufus coming up here. And always good to be with you. And we're back with you next week.